All right, after a minor technical difficulty, we will get started and have a very powerful call today. Thanks, guys, for being versatile with our start today. So my name's Aaron Klapper. We're going to discuss about business tools and tactics to make your business better, and really some tactical stuff that you can utilize each call and put them into your business and implement them to make your business better. So this is all about agents helping agents. That's how we roll. It's what we're about. All agents, all brokerages, everybody's invited to participate. And I've been involved in coaching, receiving coaching for almost 20 years. Paid a fortune in the process, but it's just been a wonderful investment to help grow my business. And so that's what this call is about, is just sharing a lot of that. I've picked up so many tools along the way, so many wonderful tools, really is what it is. That is, whether it's mindset tools and scripting tools and scheduling tools and just bunch of things along the way that we share every week. So we finished off our last week of lead follow-up, and this week I thought it'd be really fun to get into handling objections. And handling objections is one of those things that is really scary for a lot of people, believe it or not. They feel like it's this like really combative thing, and it doesn't have to be at all. It really, really doesn't have to be. So we'll talk about it today, and we're going to really kind of demystify what handling objections actually is. The cool thing about handling objections is that it doesn't just happen in business. It's objections are something that comes up in our personal life, right? With a spouse, with children, with friends, just out and about in life, we have to handle objections. We have to communicate. There's a lot of different quote unquote sales situations that we're in all the time. And so handling objections is just a wonderful skill to have. So the first point when it comes to handling objections is this: an objection is a question in the mind of the customer that remains unanswered. It's a question in the mind of the customer that remains unanswered. So answer their questions. What does that really mean? So people think handling objections is like this big, scary thing. And really all it is they still have a question, right? They still have a question that's just unanswered. So what's your commission? Well, commission 6%. Oh, okay, good. Thanks. Will you reduce your commission? Will you cut it? No, we don't cut commission. Oh, okay, thanks. Just had to ask, right? Where it's like, cut commission. Yeah, how low do you want me to go? Right? It's okay for them to say that. It's okay. Did you guys ever ask for a discount anywhere and get rejected? You ever gone and they just said, like, go try and buy a car today, right? Go try and buy a car. Sticker price? I'm not paying MSRP. They're like, no, you're not. You're going to pay above MSRP if you want to buy a car from us, right? Danielle is going through that right now. She wants to get a really cool, badass Jeep. It's like, you're just trying to minimize how much above MSRP you're going to pay for that bad boy. But, so that's really what it is. It's just a question in the mind of the buyer or the seller. It doesn't have to be a stressful moment. So just answer their questions. Hey, will you cut your commission? No, we don't do that. The commission is 6%. Any other questions I can answer for you, though? Right? So just be prepared for that. Or if you want to cut it, be my guest, right? We don't like to give that away too prematurely. Number 2, a condition is a statement of fact that you can do nothing about. So now what we're doing here is we're differentiating the difference between an objection and a condition. An objection, we just got through saying, is a question in the mind of the prospect, but a condition is different. Condition is a statement of fact. Does anybody know the difference between those two that can elaborate on that? Who has an idea of what a condition might be that can elaborate on that a little bit? What is a condition? What's an example of a condition? So I'll give you an example. If you're
I got one
go for
actually.
it. Yeah, go for it.
If someone, in order to sell their home, they need to buy a new one or have another one lined up, that would be a condition of why they wouldn't be able to sell at the moment.
Yeah, so let me put you on mute, Sean, while you're listening so we don't get double talk. So yeah, so for instance, if somebody wants to sell their home and they're moving out of state or whatever, it's like, yeah, I just need to sell my home. It's like, great, we'll set the appointment. But a condition would be, I must have the next home lined up or I am not selling my home. I do not want to be homeless. Okay, fine. Like A must happen before B. You cannot do anything about a condition. Let's talk about it on a term that's a little bit easier for people to understand, such as a condition is something that you can't, an objection, you can handle the objection. That's why they call them objection handlers. It's something that you can handle, right? Somebody doesn't want to pay you a 6% commission. Good, let me handle that objection. Let me show them why there is value in paying a 6% commission or a 5% commission. I only want to pay you 4%. Okay, let me share with you why you want to pay 6%, right? I can handle that objection. A condition, there's nothing to handle, right? So I was going to sell my home because I had a job transfer to Austin, Texas. The job transfer fell through. That's a condition. I no longer have a reason to sell my home. There's nothing to handle there. I had a job transfer. The job transfer is no longer happening. That is a condition. There's no longer a need. So in asking your questions when you're doing your prospecting, when you're doing your lead follow-up, it's important for us as agents to identify if this is an objection or a condition. Don't try and handle a condition. You can't do that. You can't, in other words, you can't convince someone to sell their home or to buy a home if it's condition-based. We can't create motivation with someone that is not motivated. It's just not possible. It's important to understand the difference between an objection and a condition. Number 3, remember, there's a direct correlation between the amount of objections you receive and the strength and quality of your presentation. A direct correlation between the amount of objections you receive and the strength and the quality of your presentation. So let's talk about this kind of in more, let's tie this down a little better. Imagine going on a listing appointment and you're just bumbling through the entire thing. You're a brand new agent. You're not sure about the price. You're just not sure about if you even have the skill set. You're totally off balance. You're just not comfortable. Does that lead the customer to a place where they just want to sign a contract? No, their first question is, so then they start coming up with all these objections. So how long have you been in the business? You know what, we want to interview a couple of agents before we make a decision. Let us just think about it for a little bit. You know, but all of a sudden, so what are you going to do to market and sell the home? We're going to sleep it up. We're going to sleep on it. We want to think it over. Objection after objection after objection. But if you go in there really prepared, really professional, really confident, and you give a wonderful presentation where you're sharing effectively what you're going to do to get the home sold, you are leading the presentation with confidence, then the close just becomes a natural ending to the presentation. And have you guys ever gone to an appointment where you say, do you have any questions? And they're like, no, you answer them all on the presentation. Thank you. A great presentation virtually eliminates objections. So on this point, that there's a direct correlation between the amount of objections you receive and the strength and quality of your presentation. What does that really mean? Work on your presentation. Some agents think, God, I'm going to practice all my objection handlers. I'm going to have all these really cool closes. How about just have a great presentation? Then you don't get any objections. Presentation is so, so vitally important. Next point, number 4, since objections never change, don't be afraid of them. Learn the answers. Learn the answers. Is there anybody on the call that gets some very common objections that you feel like you need some answers to them? I mean, there's not that many different objections, right? We want to think about it. We want to sleep on it. We've got a friend in the business. We want you to cut your commission. I mean, there's 5 or 6, right? We want to give you a 30-day listing. We want to use the neighborhood specialist. Something like that. There's 5 or 6. These are the same objections that existed 2 years ago, same objections that existed 50 years ago. So all we got to do is really learn the answers. Is there any objection that anyone gets on a consistent basis that you want to kind of bring up to the group that we can work on it together that just stumps you every time? Okay, good. Amir.
Just the commission. I think with this market being the way that it is and people thinking that you can literally just take a picture of your house and put it on the market, it's kind of some people will say, well, that's really, and even in the presentation, it's not the focus on, it's not really focused on selling their house anymore. It's about what their plans are. So I've learned I have to cater towards their plans versus really kind of building up what we're going to do on the house, even though we do have to do a bunch of different things. It's not just put on MLS to get it sold. Even still, you still have to price it right. But I think a lot of other people's focus has been on, hey, we're going to try to find a house over here, and it's easy to sell it, but it's hard to buy. So that's something that I've been running into for sure.
So I'm not clear. You mentioned commission and you mentioned about selling and buying. So try and identify what the objection is.
Because it's so easy to sell our house, and we're buying another one with you, can we just do it for 4%? And then, that way we're doing, you don't have to, you're getting paid, but you don't have to do as much to get it sold. We can sell it ourselves. And plus we need to buy this other one. Yeah, so we only want to pay you 4%. So 6.
Okay. I could totally see why. Oh, Phil.
So I have an obstacle in my listing presentation. I always go against somebody who sells 100 million, 150 million a year.
Let's pause that for 1 second, because I thought you were going to answer Amir's objection. So let's just go to Amir's real quick, and then we'll go to you. So the first thing that comes to mind, Amir, is, listen, I totally see why you would say that. I mean, who wouldn't want to save a couple of percent, right? But I want to share with you something that you may not have considered, Amir. Right now, in this market, it's more important than ever to have an agent like myself that is connected in the community, because more deals than ever before happen off market. And really, I am using my resources more than ever before. It actually is more work for me to sell homes, not less, because of just how competitive the market is. So why don't we do this? What I'd like to propose is, let me just focus on doing my job at my highest ability and making sure that you get your dream home. And then what we'll do is we'll make it up when we sell your house. Don't worry, we'll build it in, and we'll make sure that we'll pay for everything, and we'll make the buyer pay for it by getting a super high purchase price. Does that make sense? I mean, that's just, Amir, it's what comes to mind. But this is the cool thing about handling objections, guys, is that our clients are not professional salespeople. So what ends up happening, as long as you can give them an answer, it's not only always about what you say or if it makes total logical sense. Sometimes just saying to them, hey, listen, I totally appreciate why you'd say that, and yet it's just so important that you allow me to just get paid the standard commission, because I need to implement resources in today's market that didn't exist 3 or 4 years ago in order to find stuff. It's harder than ever to find homes now on market and off market. So just, if you don't mind, let's just put that to the side. Let me just use everything I got to find you a home. Let me just do this. Don't kind of shackle me and tie my hands. And I promise you, at the end of the day, when you're in your dream house and the thing goes up by $1 million, 5 years from now, you'll be thanking me. Okay. So does that work for you, Amir? It's like that kind of a thing. I find that if I just bring it up like that, people are like, yeah, you're right. It's fine. Just like this experience you had with a client the other day that asked you for a $5,000, discount, and you just brought it up and to her, and she's like, oh, no, forget it. Again, point number one, it's a question in the mind of the prospect. It's just a question. Hey, we're buying and selling with you. Can you do it for 4%? By the way, you also don't need much of an explanation. You can say, oh, no, I don't do that. I don't do that. Any other questions? No, that was my only question. Okay. I appreciate you asking, but I apologize. I don't cut my commissions. My company won't allow me. Don't you own the company, Amir? Yeah, I do. I'm the owner of the company, and I have a very strict, policy of standards for my agents and myself. It's written to our charter. We don't allow that, and so I apologize. I wish I could, but we can't do that. I don't know. Say what you want, but sometimes handling objection is literally that simple. Company policy. We don't do that. Hopefully that helps. Phil, what you got?
Yeah, sorry, Amir. Sorry about that. Yeah, so my biggest problem when you go to listing appointments, I'm always competing against somebody who sells 150 million a year. And what am I supposed to do, right? How am I supposed to compete with an agent who sells 5-6 houses a month in my area?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting, we were talking with, or I heard a video from Gary Gold. You guys know who Gary Gold is? He's one of the top agents in the country. He sold the Playboy Mansion. He's up in LA. He crushes it. And when he was going on the appointment for the Playboy Mansion, he was competing against agents he was not a big agent at the time. He was competing with agents that, quote unquote, deserved the listing way more than him. They were bigger, badder, more successful, more wealthy, bigger pedigrees. And he sat down in front of this board room of people and said, not only do I want this listing, I need this listing in a way that I'm hungry for this listing. I want you to know that if you hire me, you're getting 100% of me. I need this. This is everything for me. Now, I'm not suggesting you use this, Phil, but I'm just telling you what Gary did, and he got the damn listing. He goes, I want you to know that you call me in the morning, noon, or night, I'm picking up the phone. My whole world is this listing. This is a Playboy Mansion. This is a big deal, a couple $100 million, whatever it was. He's like, I want you to know that when you sign this listing agreement with me, you have all of me. Morning, noon, night, I am here, I am yours, you own me. That's what he told them, you own me. That's the level of commitment I have to getting this property sold. He was so committed, they saw that his passion and I'm going to get this sold. You have everything, all of me. And they're like, you got the job. A lot of agents, so I was there before. What I would personally use is I'd say, because I worked on a team and then I was a solo agent. And I would say, listen, I totally appreciate that. There's a bunch of agents that sell more than me. But I understand how this team works, and I want you to understand that when you hire me, you get me. You will not get an assistant. You will not get some, pushed off to the side. This listing is way too important to be delegated to an assistant, to be delegated to a junior agent. I specifically keep my business at this level for a reason, because my customer service is more important than anything else. So I only take X number of listings per month. I keep my business at this level for a reason. I could take 2 or 3 times more listings. I specifically don't, and I'm very careful about who I work with. So you can even frame it in that way. So I would just pick a way to handle that objection that works for you, and just share with them. You can even tell them, listen, I turn down a couple of deals per month because I feel that I can't serve them appropriately. They're not in my area. I'm not going to go out and drive an hour and a half in one direction to serve a client if it's going to take away from my core people in this area that I'm going to serve. So I turn down business if it's gonna reduce the level of customer service that I'm gonna give to my current client base. So I limit the number of clients that I take so that I can keep my level of service high. And what that really means for you is it allows me to give a better level of service than anybody in the industry, and that translates directly into the money that you make at the end of the transaction, the amount of liability that you are putting out there. You're limiting your liability because you're having me the entire time, and it makes the ease of transaction much higher for you, a much more easy, profitable, simpler transaction. So, I would frame it in that way in some ways. We're not just a chop shop here. We're not just going to take 15 listings a month and make you one of 15. It's just not what we do. Could I hire an assistant, take 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 listings? Sure. 2 assistants, 5 assistants. It's just not my business model. I'm not interested in doing that and service suffering. Take all that and distill it into a much, again, that's just off the top of my head, distill it into something that's a little bit more deliverable to them in a very concise way where you own it and are sharing it. And they're like, yeah, Phil, I want you. Yeah, that's why I was referred to you, because I've heard you're the best. So cool. Next point, keep working on strengthening the presentation as a method of bringing the seller to your side. Okay, again, this is framed around objection handling. Keep working on strengthening the presentation as a method of bringing the seller to your side. A seller would only have objections if they're not on your side. They only wouldn't be on your side if you had a weak or less than stellar presentation. So if you have a really strong presentation, then they'll be on your side more, or you'll be on their side more, and they'll have less objections. How do you have a better presentation? What are some ways you can improve your presentation? One of the best ways to improve your presentation is learn to ask questions. Selling is not telling. Selling is not talking. Blah, blah, blah. I'm the best. I'm number one. My company's the best. We sell all these. I got an award last year for being the most handsome realtor in the South Bay. It's like, shut up, right? Selling is asking questions. Tell me what you're trying to accomplish. Where is it that you want to move? When do you want to be there? What's important about that? What are you looking for in an agent? Tell me about some of your concerns about this process. What questions do you have? I really want to understand how we can make this easier. I want to share with you how we're going to reduce the liability. It's like this is all about questions, 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 questions. Strengthen your presentation. The other way to strengthen your presentation is confidence. When you guys walk into a listing presentation, are you walking in there just really like confident, like you own the place? Do you have that swagger, like that confidence where you just feel like you have that level of confidence? One way that I will share with you that you can gain that level of confidence is really, really understanding the CMA. That is one way that has really helped me. You're walking in there, it's an $800,000 property, it's a $2.2 million, doesn't matter what the price is. You really, really understand what you're selling. You understand all the comparables. Drive by them all, see the ones you can see, talk to the listing agents, find out the backstory. That's an immediate confidence booster. That'll really help you with the presentation, and it'll bring the seller to your side. Next point, you don't have to get objections if you pre-qualify properly and if you follow the script. That's because you walk in there with confidence. We talked about pre-qualifying in the past, but pre-qualifying is a way that you can draw out the objections before even going on the appointment. So sometimes they have an objection in their mind, and they might say, will you reduce your commission? And you might say, you know what? I can see that's important to you. This is on the phone call leading up to the appointment. I can see it's important. It's one of the first things we'll discuss at the presentation. Fair enough. And they say, great, that's fine. People have said that to me. I show up at the appointment. It never comes up. They've already kind of gotten it off their chest and they have a great presentation and they're like, yep, let's get started. So if you pre-qualify, many times they've gotten that information kind of out of their brain already, and it never even shows up on the presentation. So that's another way of eliminating objections at a presentation, is to pre-qualify somebody prior to the presentation. Handling objections is primarily mind over matter. We can remove the fears we have about them by learning the answers and practicing them daily. So, like anything else, practice, practice, practice is absolutely key. Mike Ferry is famous for having everybody practice the objection handling script for "we want you to cut your commission." So he'll have a group of 5,000 people at a seminar, and he says, all right, let's practice this script. And he goes, I want you to cut your commission. And 5,000 people all at once will say, no. Any other questions? Because it's a very simple script. It's very easy to remember. But the point is that it's simple. We've all said it so many times, and it's very easy to remember. The truth of the matter is, whether you decide to say that or not, there are answers to every objection. There are scripts. You can look them all up at mikeferry.com, and all you have to do is practice them. So one way to consider this is think about the objections that are going to scare you the most, or go to Mike Ferry's website and look at all the objections. You know, we have a friend in the business. We want to sleep on it and think about it. We want you to cut your commission. We want to give you a short listing. What are you going to do to market and sell my home? You know, just look at all the objections that he puts out there and look at the 3 or 4 or 5 ways that he handles them. And just practice those scripts. Just repeat them again and again and again and again and again. And once you start to just commit these to your subconscious, they make their way to the surface into your consciousness and into your speech and your verbiage in the most unlikely of times and places. Most notably, when you're on an appointment, it just it comes out. And you're like, oh my God, did I just say that? That was amazing. So when this point, when they say handling objections is primarily mind over matter, it's all about practice and rehearse and role play. So I would encourage you guys, if you're interested, go to mikeferry.com, look up, it's all free. Just download the objection handling scripts and check them out. So he goes on to say, to learn the answers, take one objection per week and write out 2 or 3 ways of handling it, practice and role play it until it's committed to memory. That's a great way. It's a great place to start, right? So for instance, let's say, I mean, commission seems to be a big one that we're all always thinking about, right? Especially in today's market. So let's just say, I don't have the Mike Ferry script handling, objection handling in front of me, but what if we were to come up with 3 or 4 objections right now to, we want you to cut your commission? And what if we were to write down, 2, 3, 4 answers? And every week, if you were to come up with another objection and come up with 2 or 3 or 4 answers, and each week you just practice one of them. And once it's practiced and rehearsed, then you're finding yourself in one of these selling situations. And it's just, you have that tool readily available for you to use if and when you need it. What are some things you guys would say if somebody says, hey, will you cut your commission? Aside from no, any other questions? Who's got some ideas on what you could say if somebody says, will you cut your commission?
Well, there's a lot of agents that'll cut their commission, and it kind of concerns me a little bit. Can I tell you why?
Yeah, yeah, please do.
Well, do you own anything more expensive than this house? Do you?
No, this is my biggest asset is my house for sure.
Okay. So you could say it's your most valuable possession, right?
It is. Yeah.
So if an agent is so desperate that they're willing to broadcast the fact that they don't think they have value as a realtor, then I'm confused. Because is that the type of person you want sitting across on the negotiating table for you? Or do you want somebody that's going to be strong and keep your price there?
I want somebody strong.
Okay. Do you think I'm strong enough to get this thing sold for you? Is the question then.
You seem pretty strong. Yeah.
Okay. We'll go ahead and sign the contract and I'll show you.
Yeah. I mean, we just keep practicing and rehearsing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's perfect. So that's, yeah. So we're fine a little bit and write it down, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think so that another way of saying that in the Mike Ferry script is, if I can remember it, is something like, yeah, can I tell you why that makes me nervous? Oh, another agent said they'd cut their commission. They said they'd do it at 4%. Wow, they said they'd do it at 4%. Can I tell you why that makes me nervous? If another agent is willing to reduce, how does he say it? If another agent is willing to cut their commission, is what basically doesn't see their own self-worth, how are they going to have the strength to defend you in the price that we set on your home?
Yeah.
Listen, I have that strength. Do you believe I can sell your home? Great, let's go ahead and sign the contract. You know, there's another way to handle it would be potentially like, you know, listen, let me explain to you why you might want to actually raise the commission rather than cut the commission. They're like, what? No, we just asked you to cut the commission, not raise the commission. No, I totally appreciate that. But let me just share with you one reason why you actually might want to raise the commission. All right. The reason why we might want to raise the commission is that agents only sell, 3 or 4 homes per year. So when they have a buyer in their car, that buyer represents sometimes 25 or 30% of their annual income. So one thing that you might want to consider is that giving a bonus to the agent. So rather than listing at 5%, we listed at 6%. Then we can offer more money to the agents representing the buyers. And then we can really entice them to sell our home first rather than the competition. So what would you like to do? Would you like to offer a 6% commission, or do you want to just do it for 5%? What's better for you? Right? Like, that's another way to do it. And I'm like, no, let's do 5%. That's good. So the point is that, are any of those perfect? No, but they're better than not being prepared at all. Could they be refined? Sure. Are Amir and I rehearsed or practiced right now on those? No. But the point is that it's a starting point, right? It doesn't matter, right? This is about just understanding that, okay, let's practice this. Let's write down some objection handlers. Let's practice it. Let's role play. Let's get better. And let's rehearse it so that when we are in this situation, it just comes out naturally. So we're just opening up this idea, this conversation about learning the objections. And let's see what we got here in the chat. I have a situation. A flipper bought my listing. Now I'm getting the listing after the remodel. He says they normally pay 1.5% to the listing agent. He will give me 2%. They're offering the other side 2.5%. They will give me the listing on any listings they buy from me. All right, so Lisa, let's talk about that for a second. So did you get paid on when you sold it to them? You're on mute. You're on mute, Lisa. There you go.
Okay, so I got paid from my seller and they bought my really good deal to fix and flip.
So you didn't get paid on the buy side when they bought it.
Oh yeah, I did. Yes. Because anything like I bring to my investors, they have me represent them. So I got paid from my investor and the seller on both sides.
And then when the investor relists the property, they only want to pay you 1.5 or 2%.
Yeah, he goes, normally I pay 1.5, but I'll give you 2. And then so he was saying, well, I do the same for the other side. So I typed it up, sent it to another lady in the office. So she agreed to go up 2.5 on the selling side. So a total of 4.5. So I was thinking saying, well, normally I charge 3, but I'd like to get 2.5 like the other side, or how would you handle that situation? Because sometimes like I've had flippers where
Was this off market or on market that you sold it to the flipper?
off market.
Yeah, I would say just be very simple about it. Listen, how many flippers do you have on your list, Lisa?
Like probably like over 100, 150.
Fine. So what's this flipper's name? Mike, John, Jim,
Well, Garrett, but he's
Garrett.
not like
Doesn't matter.
he's
Doesn't
the
matter. Doesn't
top-tier
matter.
guy, but they have a whole staff of people.
All right, Garrett. Garrett, listen, dude. We've got a list of 100 flippers. I brought this to you off market. Okay, I just want to make sure we understand our terms. I want to keep bringing you listings. Okay, I want you to make money, but guess what? I want to make money too. I want us to be great and profitable for both of us. I just have one expectation, that I'm going to get paid when I sell you the property, and I'm going to get a standard commission when we list the property on the back end. Can we just do that? Can we be clear on that? Yes or no? He understands that there's 100 other flippers that you can sell this deal to. Now, that's between you and them. You got to decide on how strong you want to hold the line on that. So it's up to you, but I would just be very honest. And now, then again, if he's really has very, very, very tight margins, and you made money on the front end and on the back end, you've got to have that conversation and see what's realistic or not. You got to be, you can't be you're not trying to be the only one that makes money. I mean, maybe they're super tight on their margins and they just, because I've worked with flippers.
Oh, they got a good deal, so they're probably going to sell it for 200,000 more. So.
All right, well, let them know. Listen, because I've sold stuff to flippers where the margins aren't tight, and I get 0 on the front end, but we get a full commission on the back end, and it's a big commission, so that's great. But I don't mind doing that. I'll delay my gratification if there's a fat commission later on. But just be honest with them. Say, listen, well, I mean, we talked about it. You get it. Cool.
So,
All right.
so normally I charge 6 and I take 3.5, which I'm willing to do 2.5. Or should I be trying to get the 3.5 or the 3, or what would you say?
I would say it's up to you and your relationship with him. I like doing deals. I don't need to be greedy. I'm not saying you're being greedy, but I like to do transactions, and I like to be treated fairly.
Yeah, so I'm good with 2.5.
You're bringing them something.
2.5, and
You're bringing in something. Just remember, whatever the numbers are, I don't care what the numbers are. All I know is this: you are bringing something of value to them. So just remember that. Don't sell yourself short, and remind him that if you didn't bring in the deal, he wouldn't have a deal, right? And you're saying that from a place of, I want to do more business with you. I just want us to treat each other with respect. I want to bring it to you before the other guys. Yeah. And I want us to do more deals together. So just help me do that.
And the fact that I left it off market when I sold it actually helps them sell it for more. So it doesn't look like, oh, you bought that for 630 and now you're trying to sell it for 875. So that helps them resell, yeah. Okay.
Whatever.
Thank you.
You bet. Phil, were you going to say something?
Yeah, sometimes I have no choice. And basically some of my sellers like, look, if we wouldn't take a commission cut, we're going to go with somebody else. So what do? I mean, they leave you no choice. Do not take a listing in this crazy, stupid market that you're going to sell it in the same weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll tell you what I would do. You make a business decision, and only you can decide that. Mm-hmm. So what I have done in the past is I have walked away. And now looking backwards, I'd say that was just ego. I will not lose a deal over commission in today's market. To me, that's just an ego move. And I will, I don't look to reduce my commission. It's not something I want to do, but I also know that it's easier than ever, number one, to double end a listing, first of all, in today's market. It's also easier than ever to sell a listing. It's a wonderful, to be a listing agent, you really do control, when you control inventory, you can kind of control your destiny in this current market. So it's an important, very powerful tool to have. That being said, don't just, roll over too easily and too quickly. Your time, your expertise are way too valuable for a client to not be paying you a full commission. You really deserve it. They're very, very fortunate to be working with a professional like yourself. So, but at some point, I get it. you have to make a business decision. A lot of times what I'll do, Phil, is I will base it on the way I feel. If somebody's just most of the time they're doing it from a not a rude place, you know, and so if I have to, I'll make a business decision, I'll work with them. If someone's just being a jerk, it's like, nope, I don't do that. You know, it's just like, I'm not doing that. I'm not a doormat, and I don't work with jerks. So I don't reduce commission. Like I won't reduce it for a penny for some people. And you want to go somewhere else, go for it. I'm okay with it either way. I'm not attached to the outcome. Other people, you know, then if I want to, like for instance, when I work with a friend, will I give a discount to a friend? I will. They're a friend. I do it. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it. If a past client is asking me for a discount, you know, sometimes I'll throw something in, sometimes I won't. It really depends. But I do it based on the way I feel. If there's any ounce of them being, you know, rude or entitled, I just don't do it. So I have walked away from plenty of deals because I said, I'm not cutting my commission. They're like, okay, we'll work with someone else. And I was like, fine. And afterwards, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But it's where I was at in my career, and that was fine. But these days, I'm just like, probably because we have such a rhythm to how we get real estate sold, it's not a lot of work for us. I mean, we have, you know, we just have a system we follow, right? You know, we take the listing, we get the photographer, we get the stager, you know, we put it on the market, and it's like an assembly line. So it's you know, there's a level of simplicity to how we do what we do. So you know, even if we have to in today's market, you know, take a little bit of a slice off it, you know, we can still make it work.
Yeah.
But we don't lead with that. We don't lead with, oh, well, we can reduce the commission, right? That's not how we lead with value, right?
Yeah.
And we lead with being very assumptive also. Great, we'll just send you over the contract. That kind of a thing. All right, great. Let's just open up the floor. Any other kind of general questions about handling objections or anything else, really? Schedule, mindset, anything at all before we jump off for the week? Beautiful. Everyone's got it all figured out then. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your participation. I love seeing you all every week. And if there's anything you need between this week and next week, just reach out to me. Otherwise, have a terrific week and go get them. And we'll see you in a week. Take good care.
Thanks, Aaron.
You bet. You bet. Thanks.
Thank you. Awesome information. Love
You
it.
bet.